Hello, it's me, doodling away, JB Blues on the JB Blues channel, and I'm back. It is a couple of weeks to Christmas. Santa's on his way, filling up his sleigh, hopefully with some goodies for thee and me. And this is a special Christmas episode. We're not going to be doing what we usually do, which is me sitting here watching some classic blues guitarists. We've had some great harp players. Lots of stuff. Anyway, if you look back, if you care to look back, the channel's videos for the past year that I've made and put up. But this time we're going to review some Crimbo presents. So if like me, listening to the great, blues artists, the great guitarists, the great blues pianists, the great blues singers, the great blues harpists, if you love doing that, but that's not enough for you, and you've thought about trying to sort of pick up an instrument, and try it yourself, give it a go, which is a great idea. I'd recommend it to anybody. That's how I started on guitar, really, mostly through my love of blues and early sort of British blues rock, 50s rock and roll, you think of the great, some of the great guitarists before, when it was a nice, completely clean amp sound, before they had distortion, before they had overdrive. Although of course you can overdrive an amp, but before that sort of thing became popular back in the 50s and that, when you got Roy Orbison and these great sort of guitar lines on his Gretches. You've got Chuck Berry, of course. Chuck Berry, there you are, again with his lovely, to begin with, hollow and then semi-hollow ES335 Gibson, Cherry Red, of course, absolutely famous, legendary. I do intend to cover some Chuck Berry if I can get it through the YouTube algorithm, if it'll let me, because I love Chuck, and of course a lot of his guitar blues riffs are became standard blues riffs on the guitar. So I'm going to talk about what you can get inexpensively. It's me, believe me, this is all very inexpensive. What you can get if you want to, get something nice mid-price maybe for Christmas for yourself, or someone that's interested in blues, loves the blues, would maybe like to start playing. Maybe someone who's already playing, and you've got a bit in the bank and you'd like to give them a nice present. Yes, that's what we can sort of delve into, really. What you can get, nice little, things for the sort of budding instrument player, blues artist in your house, or in yourself, coming up to Christmas. So, I've got all my stuff around me. It's a bit chaotic. My bed's covered in all my sort of bits and bobs I've bought over the years, usually at Christmas time, or had bought for me at Christmas time. We're going to have a little talk about probably the most popular instrument people pick up to learn to play on, that's non-classical, which of course is the guitar, and that goes for blues and rock and I suppose most genres. I suppose the second most popular instrument for blues, rock, or whatever you want to play, jazz or whatever, is going to be a piano. I have one over there. I've tried to learn some blues licks on the piano. I find it a bit more difficult with the old fingers than guitar. It's a difficult skill. And then like I say, there's the great harpists, the great harmonica players. There's Sonny Boy Williamson. Oh, there's just so many. There's Jerry Portnoy. There's well, we get on to that anyway. That'll be our third sort of. So we're going to go guitar, piano, harp, or he might go guitar, harp, piano, because often with people like Rory Gallagher, of course, I greatly loved Rory. He was famous for playing his Strat, 62 Strat, distressed Strat, as a great acoustic player, for playing a National steel guitar slide, but also the acoustic with a harmonica, with a harp. So yeah, that's what we could tend to do. It's probably going to be quite a long video, this one, because there's a lot to go through, longer than usual, I would think. So yeah, bear with me. Some of the stuff that I haven't got here, which is going to be quite a bit of stuff I'm going to talk about, but I've owned in the past, had at Christmas time. Unfortunately, I've had to let go for economic reasons. We all have those times. Most of us have those problems. I'm going to flash up a picture so you can see what I'm talking about. If you don't know your guitars and you don't know your brands, you don't know the ins and outs and things. So this is a bit of a sort of a buyer's advice guide, I suppose, for most of the people who, like I say, would like to start and are thinking about it, or maybe just started and don't know much about it. So we're going to start with blues guitar. So as you heard, yeah, my little doodling, my little blues doodling there. The first thing you're going to need, obviously, if you want to play blues guitar or learn to play blues guitar, is a guitar. There we are. So this, I mean, you'll have seen. I've taken them down in a minute so I can show you, but you will have seen in my previous videos, if you go through them, my two guitars, usually to my left and right behind me. I have my, just mute that, mute the strings. I have my acoustic, my Dreadnought acoustic, from a very cheap manufacturer here in Great Britain called John Hornby Skews, who own the Encore brand for beginner guitarists, basically. You know, when it was new, it was probably about £100, if that. I've put it second hand off eBay, as you can buy anything off eBay these days. I'll talk about the ins and outs of buying guitars on eBay rather than from an actual dealer, a shop, like a high street retailer like Dawson's, or Gear for Music or Andertons, etc. here in the UK. And there's many more, of course. But yes, so I've got that here to show you a bit of talk about the acoustic sort of. If you like to play acoustic, really, you don't want to play electric. Or you want to start an acoustic because it's a bit cheaper, perhaps. So you don't have to buy as many accessories as you do electric, of course. And then I'm going to talk about the electric itself. There we are. My very cheap, again, Encore. There we are. Encore Strat copy. I think this is from the late 90s, maybe, or early 2000s. Again, second hand, off eBay. I think this was £40 when I got it. The charity shop was selling it. And I think the acoustic was about 50, really. Yeah, about 50, I think. It'd been stuck in somebody's garage where it got quite damp. It's got better over the years, but it's still a very damp, musty smell inside, which has gotten better, to be honest. And then some of the things you need to look out for if you do decide to buy second-hand like me, used on eBay. Some of the things that I've come across with these two guitars and other guitars I bought on eBay, I say that you need to look out for. So, what do you need? You need a guitar. The number one thing you need. So, that's it. Shall I start on this because I've got it on? So, I suppose electric's going to be the most popular. Is the most popular type guitar type. The Strat, the Fender Stratocaster, or homages. I'm not going to use the word copy. Homages made by other companies at different price points. This is probably about the cheapest you're going to get. Are extremely popular too, especially at Christmas. I think the first time I got an Encore, it was a black Encore Strat, and it was new from a guitar shop which isn't in my town anymore, it's long gone. Was when I was 16, I think. Yeah, I think I was 16 at the time. I got a little book with it that came with it, which had sort of basic songs and the chords and things for songs that I didn't know. So I had no idea how they went, which was a bit of a problem. I remember one of them was, well, the first one in the book was John Denver's Leaving on a Jet Plane, which at that time I'd never heard. So I didn't know how it went. I couldn't really play it for that reason. I didn't have a teacher. I couldn't afford a teacher. I just didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. But I was glad to have it. I didn't have a, I didn't have an amplifier. I don't think I did anyway. I might have had a little 5 or 10 watt thing that came with it. I don't recall having one though. I think it was just a guitar on its own. So it was never amplified, which is probably for the best at the time. Again, that was one I had to sell a year or two later, unfortunately. But so yeah, this is the most popular sort of electric model, Strat style guitar, or S style, I sometimes call it, to avoid sort of legal issues. All the various companies, I mean, most guitar companies make a Strat style, guitar. Of course, this was invented originally by Leo Fender in 1954, so it's been around a long time. Before that came the Telecaster, which I've had all of these guitars. I've had the actual things from Fender and Gibson, and they cost £800,000, £1,500 in the past. And I've had plenty of the cheapest as well, and a few in between price points. But yeah, the Telecaster came first from Fender. The first mass-produced, marketed solid body electric guitar. I think that was from 1947 onwards. So that's the famous Telecaster, which looks a lot like this, the Strat. But it's not as contoured. You see the nice contour there and here, so it's a bit more comfortable to play with that sort of sharp edges and things. Well, the Telly's got the sharp edges. They didn't contour. The Telly, they came up with a Strat partly to make it more comfortable for players. They got player feedback at the time after the Telly had come out and was a big success. And the sales of the Telly and popularity of solid body electric guitars at the time, you're talking about, early 50s, rock and roll's being born. These guitarists are starting to buy these solid body electric guitars, which were ridiculed by the traditional guitar makers like Gibson at the time. So who have made lovely, plush, extremely expensive, basically jazz guitars, folk instruments, acoustics, mandolins particularly, very famous Gibson mandolins. And yeah, they ridiculed what Fender was trying to do, Leo Fender was trying to do with his solid body, what do they call it, canoe paddle, they called it, the Telecaster at the time. But it started selling well because it was relatively cheap. I think you could buy it in a package with an amp from Fender's Outletters. And yeah, it was very versatile. The Telecaster itself was very versatile. You could play jazz on it, you could play blues on it. People were starting to play rock on it, and the main thing was, because it was solid body, which is why it was developed by Leo, was a solid piece of wood like this doesn't tend to feed back through an amplifier, particularly when it's loud, and you're playing on stage, for example, and you're close to the amp. The closer you get to it, the feedback starts coming back to you from your guitar, you see, from your guitar strings and the pickups. With hollow bodies, which were designed by Gibson and that from before the Second World War and during it and afterwards, were meant for either acoustic, low volume playing, or after Charlie Christian started using a pickup, a low what's the word? A low power pickup on his L5, I think Gibson L5, which was originally acoustic guitar for jazz. playing at low levels, that was fine. But then when the young people came along in the 50s, late 40s, early 50s, starting to try and play louder and the new sort of rock and roll, the louder they got, the more feedback they got. So the solid body electric guitar, which Leo Fender didn't invent, but was first to mass market with the Telecaster, and then the Strat, cut all of that feedback out. So you could suddenly get louder, but also they were very, very versatile, and relatively cheap compared to Gibson. Sorry, bit of a short history lesson there for people who don't know what's going on. So Gibson and Fender are the two big American worldwide guitar makers when you're talking about blues and early rock and roll, which obviously came out of the blues, and jazz and things like that. Really, obviously, there's many more manufacturers that have sort of sprung up over the years who make top quality guitars, but most guitars are derivatives, versions of, modifications of, your Telecaster, or particularly your Strat. The Strat is the most, or the Strat copies, Strats and Strat copies are the most sold types of guitar, electric guitar, to beginners, intermediate players, professional players. Like I say, I've had American Standard Strats, which cost £1,000 from these, which are lovely. I've had all types of different cheap ones, lots of Encores over the years. This one was £40, as I say, from eBay, from a charity shop when I got it. And this is what you have to watch out for. You really need to look at the photos. You really, if they're uploaded, if they're not uploaded, if not many photos are uploaded, or they're not very good and you can't really see them very well, you've got to ask yourself, why is the seller not taking many photos and uploaded them, in my experience. Obviously read the description very carefully. This one I didn't do. I read the description, but I think the people around the charity shop who aren't sort of knowledgeable about guitars just didn't know what was wrong with this. As far as they knew, I'm sure it was fine. So, but when I got it, and I couldn't see this in the pictures because they weren't enough pictures, particularly the parts that I later found problems with, or as soon as I got it, I found problems with. Yeah, there were problems, which I've had to spend quite a bit of time myself rectifying one way or another. And also I've had to spend more money buying parts to rectify. So that's one of the things you need to look out for if you're going to go used on eBay. If you're going to go to, like I say, one of the retailers online or in the shops, obviously you don't have to worry too much about that because you're buying new. It's obviously under warranty from the manufacturer. So obviously you have rights as a buyer from that shop. You've got the 14 days return. Obviously something wrong with it, you can return it. So you know what I mean. Most shops that I've dealt with, retailers are very good about taking things back if there's a problem. So yeah, it's relatively risk free if you're going to buy from a retailer, but of course you're gonna pay quite a lot more for the actual instrument, you know. But if you want that peace of mind and you've got the money, you know, it's nice to do. And who doesn't like a nice shiny new guitar? You know, who doesn't? If I don't know, like I say, if you watch my previous videos, I've usually got an acoustic there, my cheap one. But this here on my right, behind me, you'll notice there's a guitar hanger right above my head with an empty space because for about 2-3 years now, I've been trying to get either a used, relatively cheap again, SG copy, because I love Gibson SGs, or a Gibson 335 copy. I've had the real things, except for the 335. I haven't had a real, actual, genuine Gibson 335 yet. That's the only thing I probably haven't had. Haven't owned and played, and I've had the cheap copies. Some of them are very good. Some of them are very nice, actually. In fact, probably my favourite guitar I've ever owned, one of my favourites, is an actual an Epiphone which is a junior brand, the starter brand for the Gibson group, is an Epiphone Sheraton 2 it was, which is like a copy of a Gibson 335, ES 335, and it was just lovely. It's got, again, I wish that was one I really regret having to have sold. Again, if you're a guitar collector player, you've been there. We've all been there. So yeah, this is a great one to start on. Inexpensive usually. Like I say, you can get this, an Encore one, probably from, from Argos or something. Obviously the problem with that is if you setups and stuff, Argos are not going to set it up for you. Setup's another thing we're going to get onto now, which is very important. But you can get them anywhere for, major retailers, even if they're not music shops, for £100. Usually a starter pack, you get a little 10-watt amp with it. Nothing amazing, nothing great, just plug it in, it makes the noise. But so, you've got your guitar, you've unwrapped it on Christmas morning, you've got the box, all excitement, you pull out your guitar, it's got all the strings on it, the 6 strings, and you think to yourself, okay, what do I do now? What do I need now? Well, of course, the next thing you need is a tuner. Not the fish, but a tuner, I should say. Tuner. Now, there's 2 types of tuners generally. There are the relatively inexpensive clip-on type that you clip onto the headstock here. There we are, clips on there. You can get a guitar clip-on tuner, or you can get an all-instrument tuner, which will clip onto your guitar or your violin if you play it, or your wind instrument or your brass instrument. It's called a chromatic tuner, that one. So basically, it doesn't matter what instrument you use; it just detects the pitch, the wavelength of the sound waves, basically, and sort of tells you, what key you're in, if you're on you're flat or you're sharp, basically, or if you're right in the middle and in tune for whatever you're trying to do. But anyway, so talking about guitars, you're going to get yourself a clip-on guitar tuner. You can go on Amazon, you can go on the online retailers, you can go on eBay, guitar tuners, clip-on ones. You can get them from £5 to 25 quid, 30 quid, Snark is a very popular brand, SNARK. They're little clip-ons. I think they're usually red. Again, they make ones for guitars, or which will work on your acoustic and your electric, if your electric's plugged in to an amplifier, so you can amplify the sound. They're about 15 to 25, 30 a Snark. You can get them on Amazon at almost any music store, and they're pretty reliable, and they're pretty bulletproof. They work off a little watch battery, basically, or a larger size watch battery, So when you do buy your tuners, whatever you buy, make sure you buy some extra batteries, because the batteries will run out eventually, and then you're stuck for a tuner. What I use, which is a little bit more accurate usually, is from a company called Korg. Here we go. Japanese company, there we go, Korg. And it is an actual guitar tuner. And what's different about this compared to a clip-on tuner is that this has basically, it's got an input jack there for your guitar cable. Okay, and it has an output jack there. So what that means is, and there's a display, of course, the on button, and there's your sharp, flat, and on target. They sort of light up. But what that means is, because the other thing you need with the guitar, if you're going to get a new one, it'll probably come with it, inexpensive or not, is a cable. Here's your cable. There you are. Okay, I think it's 3.5 mil. Was that wrong? Or 3 mil? I'm sorry, I can't remember. But anyway, that's your instrument cable. This is a cheap one. Okay, you can get as cheap as you like, or you can buy them individually. Fender. Oh, all sorts of brands. You can get plastic ones, you can get braided ones, which are sort of your sort of Fender reissue sort of stuff, which looks very nice. All different price points, okay. But usually, if you're buying a new guitar that's boxed, it'll usually come with a cable. To be honest, most of the ones I have, all price points have come with a. If it's used, it might do. It may well not. So you might have to just go to a guitar shop online or something, or again Amazon and buy one. But anyway, with your electric, you plug your guitar cable in to the input socket there, and then you have another guitar cable, two guitar cables, I know, luxury, into the output jack socket and plug it into. This is the other thing you need. So these are the two things you need after you've got your electric guitar. You need your tuner, and then of course you need an amp. This is a little practice amp, 1 watt Marshall practice amp, called, again, another very popular one, relatively inexpensive, the MS2. There we are. I can recommend it. It's nice for bedroom practice. It's not too loud. It's nice and quiet. It's nice and clear. There we go. You've got power. That's the power there. That's a tone, and that's a volume, and there's your input jack. Okay, and there's the power switch there. Power's on the minute. It's clean at the minute. Clean tone. Then you can turn it one more click, and you've got overdrive. This is clean. Hang on, show you the difference. You can turn it up now. Okay, I don't often get to overdrive it because I live in a terrace house with paper thin walls, so I don't want to annoy people, which is a bit of a shame. But anyway, so that's my little practice amp. Obviously, you can get amps all different sizes. 1 watt to 100 watt. I wouldn't recommend it in a house if you live in a terrace house or have neighbours or people in the house who don't want to hear you. But Marshall, obviously, huge brand, very famous brand used by Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, famously, everybody, AC/DC, Angus Young, Malcolm, everybody, Status Quo, everybody. Who's anybody? There we are. There are other brands, of course. So you need your amp, your jack cable, your instrument cable, and your tuner. So then, hang on, so there's two ways of doing this. You can either plug it into your amp, like that, and then clip on your tuner, or if you've got one of these, turn it on and turn on your amp, and then pluck your strings. Hang on a minute. Oh. Can't do it left-handed. And tune them on here. This will pick up the sound being outputted from your jack. So it sounds very basic, doesn't it? Or if you've got two money to spare to spend, and you've got two instrument cables or more, you stick your jack into the input there from your guitar, and then you have another jack. So I've only got one at the minute, so I can show you guys. So you've already got one plugged in the input, and then you plug your second instrument cable into the output jack and into your amplifier. So what that means is, while you're practicing or playing, you've always got a tuner plugged in. Maybe there's another one going in here from the guitar. You've always got a tuner plugged in, so you can just turn it on and tune. If you think you're going out of tune, you can check the tuning while you're sort of doing what you're doing, practicing, playing, whatever. Okay. Most professionals have what's known as a foot-controlled tuner pedal. Often a chromatic pedal tuner rather than guitar tuner. There's a white one made by Korg. Again, Korg's very, very famous. Very, very famous tuner maker, also for overdrive pedals, all different sorts of pedals, but like I say, also for a tuning pedal, which is white. I can't remember what the exact designation is, but you can probably find it again anywhere really on the internet or your local guitar shop. music shop. So that's the basic stuff you need: guitar, instrument cable or cables, type of tuner, clip-on or that type, or more expensive pedal tuner, and an amplifier, as big or as small as you like. Obviously, all of those things come in at different price points: lowest, cheapest as you like, to mid-price, to professional level, you know, hundreds, you know, sort of mid-hundreds to more to thousands, you know. I mean, you know, £1,000 minimum up to £10,000, £12,000, if you like. That's usually sort of collector's level sort of stuff for people who are collecting special, limited, handmade, what do they call it, custom shop models, which Gibson and Fender make. They have special custom shops where luthiers, who are guitar makers, make these things by hand in small numbers and sell them off for a lot of money. They're sold for a lot of money. So most people, even most professionals, can't afford those things. You know, they're usually bought by wealthy people, collectors, to sort of trade. To be honest, you know, keep them in your collection, then trade them between themselves. So anyway, that's the electric. And then, so what's the next thing you need? Let's go on to the acoustic first, actually. So just show you the difference. Oh, and a strap. You don't have to have one, but a strap helps. I would recommend getting a strap as soon as you can. I'd also recommend getting as soon as you can, if you hadn't had some come with your new present. Some strings and some picks. So here's some electric strings, very common ones here. We've got Ernie Ball. There we are. Ernie Ball strings there. You see that? Very famous. Back it tells you all the different famous players that names them all that play or have played Ernie Ball. All the people you've heard of. Then you've got Fender strings. They don't just make guitars. Fender strings, another very big brand. There we go. You see that? There we are. Usually inside there's a little bit of a guide about if you're not sure which order your strings go in. This is something you have to learn. There's YouTube videos on this to help you, but to be honest, this is a bit of one of those things you're gonna have to learn sort of yourself after sort of practicing it and doing it over months and years, you know. And there's Roto Sound. So I haven't got this is just one of the inner packets for one of the strings for the thinnest string. Roto Sound, which is a British brand. Again, sort of mid-price, mid to low price. All of these I've shown you are sort of mid-price, you know. Lower price if you haven't got much to spend. These Legacies are quite nice. They're okay, they're usable. Made in Britain, nothing special, but they're usable. These are all nickel-plated standard electric guitar strings. They come in different sort of thicknesses, really. So these are light. You can get sort of heavier strings if you want, or even lighter strings. It sort of helps your fingers if you're a beginner player. The lighter they are, the less painful they are, or difficult to sort of initially, when you're trying to chord and learn your chords and do your scales, to sort of hold down and fret cleanly. So let's move on to the acoustic now. So here's me cheap acoustic again. Cheap strap. I think it came with a guitar I got a few years back, very cheapy one. I kept now out of tune. Doesn't sound good, so I'm going to tune it in front of your eyes. So I've turned on the tuner, give a little demo. There we are. You see the little digital needle moving about there. So let's start with the. I'm not going to do every string. Well, no, I am actually, because I need to. So that's. Hang on, it's the wrong way around for me. that's flat. Okay. So what you do is you blink it, turn the tuning peg. There you go. Now it's just over what it should be, really. There we are. See that? So if it's green in the middle perfectly, you're in tune. If it's a little bit under there, sorry, it's a bit flat still. Do it once more, show you. It's getting closer to correct. That'll do for now. There's the A, next string, again flat. They're probably all going to be flat. If one's flat, so again, sort of have to go down or up the strings, however you like to say it, to tune them all. Now, so that's what you do. So the tuner doesn't have to be plugged in with your acoustic, it can just pick it up on the mic, which is built into the tuner. Same with the clip-ons, basically. So it's a bit easier to tune because you don't have to worry about amplifiers. You know, it's just the guitar, basically. So of course you can play with your fingers on the electric or on the acoustic. Some styles even are like finger picking. So it's out of tune, but you know, I can't load in the mix out of tune. But if you finger picking style, which you learn as well, especially on acoustic, sounds lovely. If you're just doing bar chords, your bar chording doesn't really matter if you're using fingers, your thumb, or whatever. But at some point you're going to want plectrums. Now plectrums, of course, especially with electric guitar, if you're going to play sort of blues rock. Let's see what we've got here. So your sort of standard plectrums. Again, I mean different thicknesses. You've got I've got a Fender brand one there. They are. You buy them in packs usually. You can buy them individually. You can see that. That's a medium thickness, medium size, standard Fender plectrum with the logo on. It says they're medium. If you can read that. Read that, yeah. And obviously, what your plectrum does, as opposed to your fingers, is you can alternate pick. This is a style of picking, which I'm not doing a very good job of. But then if you're strumming, you're doing bar chords or you know, triads or whatever, it immediately makes it louder. So here's me thumb. Here's me plectrum. It increases the volume. Basically, that's what a plectrum does. Its main purpose. You can get all sorts of. I mean, these come in a sort of a credit card sort of thing you stick in your wallet. I can't find the credit card bit at the minute, which is sort of pop out if you're in need of one on a plectrum when you're sort of travelling, perhaps. This is a Dunlop plectrum. This is a Jazz 3. This is sort of aimed at jazz players. So it's thicker, much thicker, and smaller than what I just showed you, than the Fender one, the medium. See, there's a difference in size, and actually you can't really see the difference in thickness, which you probably can't see. This is much thicker, so there's less. It doesn't really bend. The other one will bend more. This won't. This is for sort of really for picking. Again, it's out of tune, sorry. It would sound nice if it was tuned with some jazz chords for you. It will sound more sort of clear and clean, you know? You're not strumming, you don't strum with this really. This is for picking or slow strumming, you know? Or par strumming. And then you can even get things like this. This is, if you see that, there's a plectrum by, I think, called Dava, bought some years ago. There we are. This is plastic, but then the tip is metal. See that? So it's metal on metal. Different sort of sound, especially on an electric guitar when it's coming through your amp. More brittle, brighter sounding sort of sound. And I got this because when I read about different players that I like and the different styles, I found out that people like Brian May, for example, he famously uses, I think, sixpences, old sixpences before we went decimal in this country. The actual coin, like a, you know, silver coloured coin, for more bite rather than a plastic plectrum on his strings. Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top uses, I think, sharpened, ground down was used pesos, I think. Is it pesos? I think so, from memory. He swears by them, so they're metal. So I always wondered what the difference was, particularly electric plane, to an amplifier with a metal tipped. So I can't get them. You can buy the pesos actually that are sort of sharpened. They cost quite a lot. Cost quite a bit, to be honest. Last time I looked. So that's something you're going to need if you want to do, particularly if you want to do alternate picking, if you want to do a bit of hybrid picking, if you want to. But mostly if you want to increase the volume, particularly if you're trying to sort of overdrive, to do an overdriven sound for electric blues, you're going to need a plectrum on the whole, mostly. As we've got the acoustic on at the minute, another great present. So those are all presents you can get someone, again, from all of the sort of usual outlets online, or if you've got a music store in your town or city near you. Plectrums are nice, if you've already got a guitarist, plectrums are a great thing to buy for them. Nice instrument cables, the sort of utility stuff that you need, tuner, strings. These are the things you go through. You sort of this is the sort of the what's the word? The sort of perishables, I suppose, of guitar playing. If you're talking about Roy Gallagher and his great acoustic playing, but again, electric playing too, electric blues. Let's not forget slide playing. Generally, two different types of slide. You've got the glass slide. These are both made by Dunlop, as a lot of accessories are. And you've got the metal brass slide. There we are. And of course, they go on. I generally put them either on your middle finger or that finger. There we are. They come in different sizes depending on the size of your fingers. And of course, you play sort of slide style. So obviously, you're doing this, Okay, so the metal one, they usually give you a bit of a clearer sound, really, I suppose. I find. Well, let's do the glass one. I'm still learning really, but I'm not a great slide player yet, or even a very good one, so I'm still trying to learn really. But there we are. This historically would have been used in the old days by acoustic blues players, pre-electric really. This would have been an actual pill bottle, empty pill bottle, glass pill bottle, and it was all glass, that would fit on your fingers. So that's a sort of a neatened up, commercialised sort of version really for players. As I say, I think these are all Dunlop. I'll just show you. So that was the glass one, Dunlop. Oh no, sorry, D'Addario. But you can get. Dunlop do everything, to be honest with you. The steel one was Dunlop. That's right. There we are. Okay, brass slide. Okay, they're all different sizes. Oops. If you want to play, again, like Rory, if you want to play, let me just find what I'm looking for, acoustic, and you need to play in a different key, you're going to need, if I can find the thing, you're going to need what's known as a capo or capo, people call it sometimes. There's different types really, so here's one. This is by Dunlop. There we are. And this one, it clips on to your guitar. So I'll show you. You basically do this. You see, you put it on there. You wrap it around the back, or webbing thing bit. And then you clip it on. So now, if I move it up to, there you are. The fifth fret A, if it was in tune. Now you're getting a guitar in A, open strings A. Okay, obviously without that on, open strings without it, is going to be in E because that's where the nut terminates. E, if it was in tune. So that's the wraparound type. A very convenient one, very popular one is this type, which is you just use a spring like that to sort of clip it on, so rather than having to wrap it round and everything. Clip it on like this. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Let's try it again. So now it's just clipped on, easy, like that, like the jaws of music. There we are. See? And again now, if it was in tune, it'd be in A. And you see, this one's more popular because it's easier to move up and down, you know, when you need to. So say the next song is now in G, you can just move it rather than having to take it up and try and wrap it around and everything. There you are. Okay. Again, pretty standard thing to use. A good present for someone who plays a guitar, if you want to buy them something like that. One of the things you will, often will have with you if you're sort of starting to play, in public, etc. Now, why would I need a capo? Well, the capo changes the pitch, the open pitch of your guitar. If you're singing with the guitar, and you're trying to match the open strings with your natural pitch range of your voice, that's one reason to use it. Some guitars are just in that key. Some guitar pieces are in a certain key. So if you're reading, trying to read the guitar tab as we call it, and to learn a piece, sometimes it'll say capo at the 5th fret or A, G position, whatever. Or this moves on to our next, one of our other more popular instruments for the blues. If you're playing, and I haven't got one with me at the minute because it's my present, one of my presents this year, so I'll show you yet until I get it on Christmas after Christmas morning. Hang on, and harmonica. This is a harmonica holder. So it goes in there. You push that down, put your harmonica in. You put this over here. Hang on, your hat. Put this here. Tighten these up. There we go. So then you can sing. That's not something. You can sing, play guitar with your capo on, and then play your harmonica when you need to. Harmonicas come in different pitches, so you've got a C one all the way through to all the way up and down up the pitches to keys. Sorry, pitches, keys up to B. All through the 7 notes, basically. So, like I say, if you're playing with a C harmonica and you want to be in G on the guitar, so you put the cap on so it's fretted at G, so you're in, open strings are in G, etc. That sort of reason. There's often why you need a capo. So let's put that down. So that's the acoustic. Always enjoyable to have both if you can, and nice to have both if you can. So that's the guitar really. I think there's most of the accessories you can get. Obviously you get acoustic strings for the acoustic. Here we are. D'Addario, again, lots of other brands. Acoustics have slightly different strings to electrics because those are the thicker strings are bronze wound around the core, unlike the electric. You can get cleaning products for your guitar. You can get, there we go, that's some Gibson, what's that? Gibson pump polish. There we are, to clean your guitar from fingerprints and dust, etc. There we go. You can even get where is it? You can even get a corresponding Gibson cleaning cloth. There we are. Like I say, to get rid of finger marks and things on the finish if you want to keep it nice and shiny and clean. The guitar, there are the surface and things. Obviously, you don't get this in the electrics. This is for the wood. There we are. So that's the Gibson pump polish, and like I say, accompanying cloth, cleaning cloth. You can get, this is one from Fender. You see that? That's a Fender Custom Shop fingerboard remedy. So basically it's like lemon oil or something and water. And the idea of that is you put it on the. I'll show you. strap copy again. Hang on. The Encore. The idea with that is that you every now and again when you change the strings, so when you haven't got strings on it, you take the old ones off, and before you put the new ones on, you sort of dab it on the fingerboard here. Usually rosewood. You wouldn't usually bother if it's maple board, because particularly if it's a laminated maple board, it's not really going to suffer the same sort of problems. But because it's rosewood, open pores, much like open wood, which can suffer from getting a lot of grime and dirt and grease in if you play a lot, practicing a lot. You dab this on, let it sink in a bit, rub it in, let it sort of set in a little bit for a while, come back with your cleaning cloth, and then sort of rub down the fingerboard, sort of dry it off, you know. And it's supposed to rehydrate, particularly the rosewood fingerboards there, you know, and keep it in a nice condition. Some people think it's not necessary. Some people just use water, but it depends. You know, it's up to you. It's a lot of things. Like a lot of things, it's personal choice, to be honest. So those are things you can buy. Obviously, you're going to need to sort out your truss rod every now and again and adjust it, depending on whether it's winter or summer, it's colder or warmer, to keep your neck nice and sort of as straight as possible. Your guitar will, if it's new, will come with usually 2 Allen keys, one larger one for the truss rod here to tighten it or loosen it. Again, if you don't know what you're doing, find someone who does to do that for you, because you can damage your guitar irreparably if you get it wrong, or just make a mistake and you just have a very bad playing guitar. And then down here on the bridge saddles with electrics, again you have a smaller one to adjust the bridge height, bridge saddle height. Sorry. Okay. I bought these. You can get these from Wilkinson's or wherever really, or Halfords, etc. Just the usual sort of set of all the different sizes of Allen key. Got all this in there because it's holding up my broken music stand that I've got this on at the minute filming. So they're great. So they can obviously they'll fit, because not all guitars are the same size. Use the same size Allen keys. Different brands, different sizes. So that's always useful to have. Quite inexpensive to get. Also, something else that's useful to get hold of is, if I can find it, is a little ruler. There we are, got a little metal ruler there. Again, you can get them from Halfords anywhere, B&Q or whatever. There we are. So you've got obviously in centimetres with the millimetre marks there. That's what you really want. And you've got inches. There we are on the in-between marks. And what this is used for is basically checking string heights at the 12th fret, to make sure your string heights are sort of within range really. Not too high, not too low. But then again, they can be a bit higher than sort of the recommended standard height for your own particular type of playing. If you're playing a lot of slide guitar, you can have strings set higher, slightly higher than if you're not, than the recommended. So always useful. Again, quite inexpensive. Sometimes, particularly with Strat style guitars, if you're wanting to play blues, because see a little hole there in the bridge, that's for a whammy bar that you screw in. So you can do this, so you can wobble the bridge into the wow 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 sound. A lot of blues players don't use that, don't like it, and don't want it, because they bend the strings instead. If they want to bend a note, bend the pitch up or down. So what they do is they look down the bridge so it's flat against the body and can't move. It also helps with tuning, to stay in tune. So what you need to do is, you'll see there I haven't got a backplate. I've just taped on a piece of paper. But in here is access to the back of this bridge, and the usually 3 springs which connect the bridge to something called the claw, which is actually screwed into the body to sort of anchor it in. Usually 3. What I've done is, if you lock it off, you usually need to buy 2 more, because there's 5 you can fit in maximum. So I've got all 5 in there. so you've got the maximum amount of sort of pull to pull the bridge down flat, you know. So this is the Strat style guitars, and then you can even, which I haven't got in there at the minute because it won't fit, you can even block it off as well with a little block of wood that you've made yourself or fashioned yourself, which is basically, there's a little behind the bridge between the body cavity here and the bridge itself. You slide this in if it's the right size, and that sort of stops it completely, any chance of moving either way, you know, totally blocked off. But you have to make these yourself. Basically, I've never found anyone that can buy these, and usually different manufacturer copies of Strats, you know, and real Fender ones. They have different sizes of cavity space, so it depends what you've got. So often you have to make this yourself with your own little woodworking skills. So a good set of files, again quite inexpensive to get, is always useful for that sort of thing, and your little job sometimes with your instrument. One of the other things you often get with inexpensive guitars, or even actually the full price things from Gibson and Fender themselves, particularly Gibson sometimes, is that the frets here have not been the ends have not been dressed properly, which means they're still a bit sharp and sticking out. So what you can do is, I've got it here somewhere, but you can sort of get different. You can even use sandpaper or glass papers, different sort of things. And very carefully, you don't want to rub off, you know, you don't want to sand off the varnish here when you've got it, all this satin feel or the actual whatever. You very carefully run it going down the grades, all up to the finer grades, coarsest to finest, and it will sort of smooth off the fret edges. You have to be very careful to do that. Well, again, if you don't know how to do it, or you're not sure, get someone to do it for you. So that's the basics really when you're talking about guitar ownership. Obviously, I'll tell you, hang on, the things you need to buy or presents you can get for people in your household. Inexpensive if it's not the guitar itself. Oh, hang on. Moving on to the range of guitars. So I've only got a Strat copy at the minute, but here we are. Here's two books. Again, these books themselves, I'm not sure you can find them, but you can find similar sort of stuff all over Amazon. Here's a book about sort of the Gibson Bible, Interactive Gibson Bible. So that's all of the main sort of Gibson models, makes and models. And here's the same for Fender. Obviously, they come with little DVDs each and everything. But inside, they sort of go through a chronological history of the models and when they came out. It's like a sort of historic guide and a buyer's guide, and people are just interested in the brands they are. So they're very good. And of course, as you'll see on the covers there, you've got the telly there, you've got a Strat there in blue, lovely blue Strat. You've got things like Jazz Masters and all sorts of lesser known ones. There we are, from Fender. And then these are some of the other more popular styles, the Les Paul style. So you can get a real Les Paul from Gibson if you've got the money, you know, a couple of £1,000, £1,500. You can get homages again from Encore and all sorts of different places, Epiphone, etc., which cost a lot less, you know, sort of, you know, maybe £150 to £700 and in between. You've got Firebirds. I think is that a 335 about there? There we go. We've got another ES there, hollow body one, I think. We've got a double cut there. I think that's the Junior. There we are. So those are part. I'll flash up some pictures of the which I'll go through now actually. So you've got, you know, very popular ones to buy if you want to buy the homages from different places. So very popular for beginners are the Squier brand, who do the totally legitimate copyrighted, not copyrighted, that's not the right word, is it? Licensed, sorry, the licensed sort of versions of Fender's professional, semi-professional models like the Strat and the Telecaster being the most popular. They actually own the Squier brand. It's a student, beginner to intermediate brand. Lovely guitars to buy, particularly the classic Vibe range, which is the upper price models, but they're very, very, very good quality. Very nice things to own. I've had a 50s Squier Classic Vibe Strat before. Very, very nice. So Squier's a big one to look out for. Usually very good quality. You can get a very nice Squier Affinity now with a hardtail bridge, which is already locked off for you, so you don't have to do all that stuff with the springs that I was telling you about and stuff. It's already locked off. Great, lovely for blues, particularly style. They're about 100 quid or something new, maybe a bit more, 120, something like that. I think before shipping. So if you've got it, great present. Great for beginning on, great for even intermediates. So that's if you want a Strat style, a Fender style or Strat sort of style, Telecaster style. And the other big one, of course, is Epiphone, which is as I say, the brand owned by Gibson for their sort of starter players, new players, intermediates. Again, you can go, spend from anything from 100 right up to the more special models or limited models, which again 800, 700, 800, even a bit more, I think. Where you can get people commonly buy more common models will be the Les Paul copies that Epiphone make, the SG copies that Epiphone make. They're called slides. Well, actually, I think they're actually called Les Paul SGs now in their newer line. They used to be called different names, but they were just the copies basically. And then ES, ES 335 copies essentially. Usually they used to be called Epiphone dots. I think they're actually called 335s and the derivatives now as well. So they're the two most popular big sort of beginner to intermediate level brand guitars for electric guitar and acoustic guitar. They do acoustics as well. They also do basses. I don't have a bass. I've never actually played a bass. I'd like to start with that at some point when I can afford one. Like I said, I'm trying to get me final either SG, Epiphone SG, or an Epiphone Sheraton or Dot or 335 or something like that. So I think that's pretty much the guitars covered. Oh, no, sorry. Just before we move on. Obviously, you're going to want something to learn with, so there you are. There's a pretty standard, complete method book for guitar, for acoustic and electric, from the huge Hal Leonard company. Guitar method, there we are, obviously, and you get all the different parts. Hang on, let me find it there for you. So it contains books 1, 2 and 3. You can buy them separately, but I've got them complete there. And it goes through everything you sort of need to know, the most basic stuff to the intermediate stuff. There we are. And this comes with, if you find it helpful, CDs with backing tracks to play along with, or accompanying sort of stuff. There are 3 CDs for the 3 different books. So that's good. I think that was about 20 quid, I think, off Amazon. Maybe a bit more, something like that. 25, something around about that sort of price. Oh, hang on, knocking things off here. Or you can get, cheaper sort of things. There we are. Books with guitar scales in themselves. For example, the most basic scale everybody learns first off is the pentatonic. And then if you're going to learn blues, you're going to learn the blues scale. This will have it all in there. I'll have the major and minor scales and things, the shapes and positions. I've got the book somewhere else. Where is it? Which is just guitar chords. So you can learn all the chords there. It's like a little sort of anthology of chords, because often there are different shapes for the same chords, sometimes in different areas of the fingerboard. And then you've got nice things which obviously got, which are very nice as presents if you want to buy someone this. Little book of guitar licks, famous rock licks, there we are. Or if you're an acoustic player or you want to up your acoustic sort of music library of songs, there we are. It's acoustic songs. Little songbook. And then, so I'm going to peg something. Peg things there. We've got this. This is great. From Guitarist. Guitarist magazine is probably the UK's biggest, most read, regular monthly publication. What sort of later card? This is one of their sort of. I think this was an edition that often before Christmas. Excuse me, I haven't been in the shops lately, but before Christmas to various Smiths wherever, they often bring out sort of special sort of editions really. So this is from a few years back, and I've noticed they have sold it subsequently just before Christmases and things in like as I say, the Smiths or places like that. And we've got a magazine aisle perhaps in your supermarket like Sainsbury's or Tesco or whatever. Blues Guitar Heroes, very nice. It's very nice. I've had this for years now, and it's got a lot of info. It's a very nice plush publication. I'll show you. It's basically, I mean, this covers. It's like, it's very nice photographs and things. It covers all the great players themselves. It covers the history of blues and blues guitar particularly. There we are. Ooh, you see that? There we go. Some of them. It's got a section on the guitars themselves that I've just gone over. The most sort of popular ones. I'll try and find that for you. So that's all the players really, all the famous players we know. Lots and lots of them. Oh, where's the guitars again? It's a big. I think it was about 10 quid at the time, or maybe even a bit more now. Let's see. Hang on. Guitar styles from acoustic blues to electric blues. Here we go. Classic blues guitars. There you go. So that page is all. Oh, hang on. About the players and things that. Oh, yeah. The Gibson Les Paul, along with the Strat. Oh, there's a Dan Electro, which is been quite popular in guitar and rock and roll. There we are. There's a Strat. There we go. Probably with Les Paul, two most famous blues models and widely played, and owned and bought. There we go. There's Albert with his lovely Flying V, 58 Flying V. Gibson, and then there you are, your classic Martin Triple O acoustic blues acoustic, which most players play on, and many more. Anyway, so that's a lovely thing to have, lovely present for someone who's into their blues guitarists. So that's that. Like I say, there's blues piano. I haven't got any books or anything to show you at the minute, but there's lots of books. There's online courses you can buy. There's online videos you can watch for free for your basic blues licks and things. Great blues players, of course. I won't start listening and naming them all here now because it's been even longer. It's already more than an hour, which you can research. The great thing about the internet, you can research all this stuff, all the players, all the instruments, all the stuff. You can buy what you want to buy. Wonderful thing about obviously the modern world and the internet, and in the retailing particularly over the internet, which just wasn't available when I was a teenager and a young man. So that's the fantastic. My problem now is it's available, but I haven't got the, as usual, like most of us, I haven't got the spare readies to buy a lot of it. But so yeah, if you're partial to playing the piano and you like to listen blues piano, there's certainly the same sort of books and things you can buy. CDs you can buy. I've got one over there. Great blues players, piano players. If you're going and you like to learn a bit of harmonica, a bit of blues harp, there are obviously different types of harmonica. There are blues harmonicas. So you want to be careful there. Again, you can go on Amazon or go anywhere else. You can specific specialist blues harmonica websites, which actually exist, where you buy, again, all different price ranges. I can't show you one of them because it's like mine's not coming till Christmas, but I've had some in the past. Obviously, the big names are Hohner, that's guitars, Hohner, blues band, marine band harmonicas, about £30 each. They're the legendary sort of industry standard blues harmonica, Hohner marine band. But then you've got, Fender Blues Deluxe and all sorts of different makers and players to sort of look at on YouTube. We're going to be covering some of them soon enough. I'm going to do a blues harmonica harp player special. Might be in 2 parts because there's quite a few to cover. Again, there's free online beginners lessons that you can find on YouTube. You can buy into a digital lesson course. You can buy a method book, just like with the guitar or the piano, blues piano, blues guitar. You can play, as I say, just in your hands. You can play with the acoustic with the. Hang on, I've buried it now. There we go. With this thing, obviously clamps in there, like I say, you wear around your neck. Like Rory does, Rory style. No, I'm back. My camera turned itself off because I think my tablet ran out of space. So I had to make space. Stop recording. Yes. So there's lots of different price points again. Lots of different beginner level sort of harmonicas you can play. You can play, like I say, sort of clean. So just holding it in your hands and learning the techniques and practicing and things. Or if you want to go for that classic, Paul Butterfield sort of Chicago amplified, slightly distorted wah-wah harp sound, harmonica sound, blues harmonica sound, you can, of course, buy an actual microphone. A microphone you hold in your hand at the same time as your harmonica, which then you plug. The same thing has a effectively guitar cord, same size one, same jack size running out of it, which you then plug into an amplifier. And it can be a little amplifier, like a little 1 amp Marshall. Same thing, guitar amp, same thing will work. Same size jack. Obviously, don't forget your batteries. This one takes 9 volts, what of them do. Or if it's obviously a larger thing and you've got an actual power cable that you plug into the mains, a smallish sort of guitar amp, which you can fiddle with the overdrive settings and things to have as much or little overdrive as you want. That gives you the classic, playing through that with your harmonica, your harp, gives you the classic Chicago Little Walter, like I say, Paul Butterfield, Jerry Portnoy sort of harmonica sound, as opposed to the sort of classic unamplified Sonny Boy Williamson sort of sound, for blues harp, basically. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope you find some of these some of these goodies in your stocking or under your tree from Santa this Christmas. I won't be, I don't think, unfortunately. Times being the way they are at the minute. Oh no, I tell a lie. I'm getting my I'm getting another relatively inexpensive blues harmonica. It's a Fender Blues Deluxe, I think, which is about £10 mark, so it's not much. Again, off Amazon. So, if you'd like to give it a go, I can recommend that. One of those, not very much, and quite apparently relatively easy to sort of bend the notes on. That's what you can do with blues. They're made so that you can bend. Because if you get blues in the blues scale, the thing about blues is, and then rock and roll is the bending of the notes. Whether it's on the guitar, whether that's with the harmonica, by sort of blowing more air into it, or the way you sort of hold it, or sucking more air out. So it sort of over stresses the harmonica a bit. The reeds in it. Piano, it's a bit difficult to do that. It's a bit difficult to bend notes on the piano. You have to sort of give the impression or use little sort of tricks that you've learnt to make it fool the ear a little bit. But anyway, that's it. Sorry, I'm sorry if you've been bored. This has rambled on. I've rambled on too long. A bit of a beginner's guide, really, I suppose. If you've been doing it for a while, you're going to know most of this stuff. But if you want to buy, if you don't know much about it, you want to buy something for, your husband, wife, son, daughter, family member, again, who like the blues, like rock and roll, are thinking of starting to play, or maybe already started playing, and you think, what little inexpensive thing can I get them? Like a little bottle of fingerboard stuff, or cleaning pump stuff, or a nice little cork tuner, or snark tuner, or a slide, so they can start practicing slide guitar, or whatever, whatever, like a little practice amp. I think that's the what's it called? MS2 micro amp from Marshall. I think it's about 25 quid new each. You can get a red one if you like. You can get one with a sort of different cloth with a gold sort of Marshall thing on it, sort of harking back to the original when it first being built and came out. Nice straps, always nice. That's guitarist, a nice strap, a nice padded Fender strap's lovely, or a nice leather strap from Levy's, another big strap maker, particularly with something heavier, or like an SG, which is a bit top heavy. So if it's a guitar strap with a sort of a suede back or grippy back, it grips nicer, so it sort of helps keep it upright rather than nose diving. Yes, of course, this very important, and a pair of wire cutters for changing your strings. Again, this one is made by Dunlop. Dunlop make most most of the accessories, all the accessories you're going to need, really. Even strings, I think. See, this helps wind on quicker. Again, something you need to practice if you're starting out, really. It's a bit of a technique and sort of a bit of a minor skill to, I suppose. I'll just finish off by and you need to cut all the strings with to the metal strings with wire cutters too. After you've unwound them, taken the tension out of them, to sort of take them out easier to the old ones. So I recommend getting those as well if you can, or if you've got some in the house. Finally, I'll say this from experience again: be careful what you buy off eBay, even if the person selling to you says it's the genuine article, particularly if it's something more expensive like a Fender. There's lots of Chinese copies that are made to look, and they're very good. They're made to look like the real deal, So there's risk. There's risk, even if you know what you think you know what you're looking at. There's because a lot of copies look like what they're supposed to look like, but they're not the actual thing. They don't hold the value, particularly Gibsons, Les Pauls, Strats, Telecasters, all that sort of stuff. Good stuff, like I say, SGs, 335s, the famous ones, the big brand names, and the famous models, the big models. If you're buying new, like I say, you don't have to spend a lot of money. The cheaper Squires, around the £100 to £150 mark, £200 mark. Same with Epiphone, can't really go wrong. I'm trying to think of some other brands, perhaps. Sort of spring to mind, so the sort of lower end models, really, or intermediate models. Nice mid-level Fret King by Trevor Wilkinson, very nice quality. They've got their own sort of takes on the classic designs, which are very interesting, quite nice. I'm trying to remember the name of their sort of slightly cheaper brand. Vintage again by JHS, Trevor Wilkinson designed. Vintage, I've had a few of those, very nice. Like I say, they're the £150, £200, it's £250 mark, but very nice, especially for beginner guitars. Again, you can get them in packs with the actual sort of the stuff you need, the amp, Comes with the leads, usually some plectrums. Don't throw away the stuff, the bump that you get in there, because that'll often have your Allen keys in there and things that you need. You know, your warranty, stuff like that. You can get hard cases, ones that are sort of ABS for travel, really hard ones. You can get lovely vintage hard cases in sort of tweed outside and bits of leather, for the vintage ones, Fender vintage ones. You can get, with inexpensive guitars, you usually get a nice cheap soft case, which obviously isn't going to protect much, but will keep the dust off it. Obviously, you can buy hangers, like you see in my, you can't see it now, but you can see in my previous videos, for your wall hangers. You can have stands that sort of stand, if you've got the floor space, you can stand your guitars on, and they've got like a secure sort of thing on the front that sort of clips over the neck to stop it falling forward. Yeah, all that sort of stuff, really. But anyway, the main thing is, I hope you get something you like to help you enjoy, play, learn a bit more about the blues and blues rock, early rock and roll from Santa this year, this coming Christmas. And I hope you just all have a very, very nice Christmas, a happy Christmas, most importantly, a happy Christmas, a happy New Year, and I will see you, I'll see you around Christmas time, perhaps around New Year's Day or just after. So take care of yourselves. Ciao for now. Please, if you'd like to, send me a bit of a Christmas present. Please subscribe down below, hit the little notification bell, and please comment. Let me know what you got in your stocking and under your tree from Santa this year. So take care. Ciao for now.